perfect segue. Chobits it's one of these animes that like, we shouldn't let it die, first of all. Second of all, it's one of these animes that's like, there's a lot of new anime fans that are coming into the space that are like from the mainstream, like refugees from live action, the same way like people from California moved to Texas and then they're ruining Texas now. It's like the same sort of thing where these people would make fun of anime fans for like being degenerates because a certain subsection of anime content was like really degenerate stuff. And then they come into anime and they're all about appearances, and they're like, oh, this stuff appears degenerate. It looks degenerate on first glance, even if it's not. But either way, they look at it and they're like really grossed out by it, and then they just let it die. They're like, oh, this is an important part of anime culture. Screw it. Just toss it to the wayside. Let it be forgotten. And it's like a complete disrespect of the actual medium they're trying to get into. And it's not that I have an issue with the disrespect, because it's all one big joke at the end of the day. But it's like, if you refuse to be cringe, or you refuse to be made fun of for your interests, then you don't actually know if you're interested in that. Like, you might just be doing it just so that you appear interested in that thing. But if you're made fun of for your interests, and if people misinterpret it and they go like, oh yeah, you like anime, that means you probably like this and this and this, and it's like you're judged for it, and it has a negative connotation, but you still enjoy the thing. That's how you know it's real. And Chobits is one of these like, it had a time and place, right? But it appears very degenerate on the surface, but below there's actually quite a lot of depth. It's not just some like ecchi show, like just for the sake of being ecchi, like Saikon no Quasar, things like that. It comes from an era where people were kind of unapologetic because there was so much like people just straight up going like, oh yeah, anime fans are fucking losers. So many people saying that it became flooded with it, and it became like numb, and it started to feel like it meant nothing. You know, it was just words. It was just the same like sound bites on repeat. And anime creators especially were like, I don't give a fuck. Like, we'll make something degenerate or appear degenerate, and actually like make it look good. It's like that whole idea of girls will be nice to other girls in front of their face but talk shit about them behind their back, and boys will be mean to people in front of their face but be nice to them behind their backs. It's like things in Hollywood will on the surface try to look all nice and friendly and good, and oh, we're this is so normal to watch. You shouldn't feel judged for watching it. You know, doing these things and this. Oh, it's really hard to be in this situation, and you're all victims, and all this stuff, and we accept everyone, and then they'll do all this degenerate shit like pushing all this like LGBT ideology, but they'll make it seem normal so nobody actually like thinks it's weird or wrong or immoral or whatever, when really it actually is. And so under the surface they'll push genuinely evil messaging. Anime, this comes from an era where anime would do the opposite. Anime would like on the surface go like, hey, this is for degenerates. They'd bring in all the degenerates, and they'd go, now that you're all here, let me lock you guys in with some good entertainment, and let me actually give you a good message so you actually improve your lives. Let me uplift you. Like, that's an insane thing to think about, that people were actually using a medium of technology to actually uplift people. And they didn't care about being perceived as being degenerate. In fact, they embraced it. In fact, they like went further into it. That's part of like the charm and appeal that I've always seen in, maybe not anime made today, but like when I was first getting into it, that made me like really like fall in love with the medium, you know? It's like the creators who were making it actually like had like genuine care for their art and like what they were doing, and like for actually trying to like teach things like important lessons to the audience members. It relates to what we were talking about. It's like AI There's like humanoid girls. Persicoms is what they're called in that world, and Chobits is like the advanced version of them. That's crazy. You can literally relate like the what Devin Nash was talking about with like the philosophy of these kinds of animes. It's like there's a layer of degeneracy on the surface, which is like um, the Persicoms are AI agents. They're AI assistants, basically. They're robot assistants, and like they're hella like all over the place, super ubiquitous. Everyone has one, and they're mostly girls. And to turn them on, their on switch is it's you know where it is. You know exactly where it's located. The literal on switch, right? And then on the surface, people will look at that and go like, "Oh my god, I mean, why people do this degenerate shit," you know? But then, if you give it a chance, you realize like, "Oh, wait a second, they're actually saying the op." It's not like the show is not degenerate. It's like this is the normal level. Oh, it's degenerate. It's lower. It's actually anti. It's actually good that it's there. Like if the switch was like on the back of someone's neck or whatever. No, this is actually better because it's not neutral anymore. The point of it being there is that if you try to use it for sexual purposes, it'll turn off. Like that, it's deemed unnecessary. It's deemed that you should be using these like for the purpose of actually like integrating these robots into your life and having that like them like actually caring about the robot, the person, this like human connection kind of for the sake of like having that human connection and things, and that lust to be taken out of the equation. So not only is it not degenerate, they use that to flip it and go, oh, it's anti-degenerate. That the lust shouldn't even be a consideration. It's not even a priority. It shouldn't even be on your mind. It's deemed so unnecessary that not only is it not a sex doll, if you try to use it as a sex doll, then you're punished for it. The fact that they were willing to go through with like that kind of messaging, it's like it's very basic. But the fact that they were willing to do that and then appear degenerate to all the mainstream normal people who are not going to actually look into it and watch it, there's actually something a little admirable about that. I don't know about you. I feel like that's admirable at least. Like at least it's a lot more admirable than the fucking like Hollywood people who will just ignore all these things because it looks degenerate on the surface, so they'll never even touch these topics. You know. It's unapologetically degenerate in a way that normie fans will make fun of and shit on anime fans for liking. But when you really look into it, it's like, oh wait, they're actually like trying to tell a story here. They actually have a deeper intention than just trying to like gather up all the creeps in one spot and go, oh, let me provide entertainment for you guys. And there's a lot of stories that Hollywood would never make because they're so concerned with looking bad, that like where else are you going to get these stories? There's lessons to be learned in stories like this, and there's plenty of action, like rom-com, thriller, drama, horror, fantasy, sci-fi stuff that happens across the board in video games and books and all this stuff, and you're gonna find it all over the place. But like, where else can you get stories like this? What other country? What other medium? What other like? Where is there another source on planet Earth that people are willing to tell these stories and actually say the lessons that they had to say for you to dive into them and go like, okay, great storytellers who are going to take their time, who are not doing it for the money, who actually have a message to give. It makes you think. It's like you stop and think about it. You go, number one, these are messages that it takes a real artist to actually like to be able to put up with the bullying to put these messages out there. Number two, it's gotten to the point where you cannot find these messages anywhere else in the world in any other art form. Maybe this is worth looking into. And those are the thoughts that like that run through your mind when you become a new anime fan and you're like, oh, there's something interesting and unique here that doesn't exist anywhere else. I have to look into it more, you know? That's why I have no issue talking about like the like heavy, etchy, fan service animes. Like as long as they have something to like, there's a lot of anime out there that's just straight fan service and garbage and pointless, and I call them out just as much as anybody else. And I don't like watching any of that garbage, and I don't condone any of it. But if there's some deeper intention, some message, some merit to it, then I don't have any boundaries or any like, oh, this show is too lewd or whatever. It's like, I don't give a fuck. And also, along with the mainstream audience like joining and go and like putting on the outward appearance of like, oh, we don't, this etchy stuff is like gross. It's like, bro, those pure etchy fan service animes that's just like straight hentai, just straight porn, those have only gotten more popular since the mainstream entered. It's like the people that are the same people that care about appearances and want to look good are the same people to behind the scenes when no one's looking, when they think there's no consequences, go in and actually watch all the degenerate shit. It's only the people that like that are willing to watch the degenerate shit and not and willing to be judged for it. Those are the people that are actually willing to like improve, and they have like the heart enough to share what they're doing, which means that they're watching it to the extent that they know that they have good intentions. So they'll watch it, but they'll go like, okay, but I'm not going to act on these things, or I'm actually watching it for the plot. As stupid and as much of a joke as that might be, it's like the people that are open. Simple principle on like dealing with girls in real life as well. Open perverts are not perverts, like by definition. It's when people like call out, like, oh, all these people that are this low in the degeneracy, like you should be pure, you should be up here. No one is up here. We're all somewhere in the middle. We can be down here, but nobody is up here. And maybe like, I'm not going to get into that, but essentially in modern society, nobody is up here. And when you're calling out everybody for being below that, I know you're not even in the middle. I know you're at the bottom. So all these like mainstream anime fans that are like, oh yeah, fuck all that degenerate. Like, okay, I'm not telling you to watch fucking Boku no Pico or whatever, you know? But like, and these things are funny, like they have humor to them. But like, to completely dismiss the fact that like, that there might be degenerate anime that have some value to offer in them, even in the degeneracy itself, that there might be lessons to learn that you may not get from other sources, or that you definitely will not get from other sources, except for like the manga as well, and like the light novels. But this is all part of the anime community as a whole. To dismiss that is like, bro, that's a you problem and nobody else. And people should stop listening to like the mainstream anime fans and or just like those like mainstream people in general. Like this dude on stream that was like, people were talking about Andrew Tate in his chat, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I don't know anything about it." Like, fucking embrace it, dude. Go like, yeah, dude, I don't give a fuck what any of you guys say about me. Andrew Tate spits some real shit, and it's only the people that are like that deny that kind of thing that are the most degenerate, that are the most pathetic, that are the most likely to do the kinds of things that Andrew Tate is criticized for doing. And like that's what you see. The same entities that are loosely connected with like the pedophile sex trafficking ring, like Jeffrey Epstein type stuff, are the same people that created all this like straight propaganda to try to take down Andrew Tate. The same organizations that would get him in interviews to try to make him look bad are the same organizations owned by the larger conglomerates that run real sex trafficking rings, that like have real slaves that suffer on like in places on islands and things like that, knowing of their existence, knowing that they cannot get out, knowing that people sit around and do nothing, that like people are like, oh, if I was alive, I would have freed the slaves. They're slaves. Go free them. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? Oh no, you listen to what they have to say. They criticize somebody and you go, oh, I'm gonna agree with them. Oh, this person must be bad. It's like, is it not telling that these people will call out the person who is at the very least trying to be authentic and go like, yeah, I have flaws, but who doesn't? I'm not going to pretend like I don't, and I'm not going to expect everyone to be completely flawless. But at least like let's call out the like extreme degeneracy when we see it. When people hate women or hate men or whatever, let's call that out. But when people dismiss the idea that men and women are different, or that there's no merit to misogyny, or there's no merit to sexism, and you should never be sexist, and you should never discriminate based on sex, and you should treat everyone equally, it's like that's also really stupid. And if you think you're at that level, you are the type to be drawn in by any truth, no matter how degenerate it might be, so long as it's convenient and it's safe. And if it was normal to rape, then you would be saying, "Oh, why are you guys not raping? Why are you? How could you not do that?" You'd be doing the same thing, just because it's normal to hate on misogyny. It's like, be based. Look at the reality of the situation, and you'll realize like, okay, some sexism is actually not only like not bad; it's actually very important and needed. In the same way with anime, mainstream fans come in and they go, "Oh, we shouldn't like all this like anime behavior, we behavior is like so pathetic." It's like you need some of it. You need some of it. Otherwise, you're gonna have a community of completely inauthentic people who all just gas each other up for being so good, yet behind the scenes they're all being deceptive. And actually, the more thoughtful, the less like sexually provocative, like more like shows that were actually like that had some purpose, that were like trying to like do a little something more, that had some purpose behind them, those are the ones that are being left to rot. Those are the ones that are being left in the dust, because they're not just complete degenerate like fan service fantasy for people to watch behind the scenes. So like actually good shows are the ones left behind when people listen to the bullies. It's like we need bullying. We need bullying to know what's real or not, but we need a community of people that's willing to overpower the bullies and go like, nah, fuck you. I'm gonna watch whatever I want to watch. And they can't be canceled for it. And their shows can't be canceled. And their shows can't be taken off of the platforms for being too whatever, this or that. It's like those are all just appearances. They're all just people like listening to each other going, oh, this person's not cool with it. It's like democracy is what killed Jesus. Everyone was like, oh, no one's going to say anything. This guy's innocent and he's being killed. He's being crucified. It's like, they're not going to say anything. I don't want to get in trouble. Let me not say anything either. But everyone was thinking the same thing, but no one stood up and stood out because they were afraid of being crucified too. It's like when the punishment for looking bad is not bad enough to where people can actually do it, but it's bad enough to where it's not a life worth living unless you're truly passionate about it. That's like the perfect sweet spot. That's how you know it's like real shit with anime. When people are getting bullied, they're not getting so bullied that it's like destructive to their lives, but they're getting bullied enough to where the only way you would ever be an anime fan is if you were truly an anime fan deep down at heart, because it's brutal to try to find like a community of people. It's not so easy. There needs to be a community, but it cannot be the path of least resistance. It cannot be easy to get into the anime community, and it cannot be easier than getting into other communities like the mainstream audience. That will just accept you, and the mainstream audience does need to accept people. I'm rambling too much about this, but like Chobits as an anime isn't great. It more depends on the person. I feel like if you look at the premise, you'll know if you're gonna like it or not. If you're unsure, you're probably not gonna like it. But it's one of those shows that's like the normies have come in and they go, "Oh, this show is for losers. I'm not gonna watch that," and it gets tossed to the side when really it shouldn't be. And it's actually one of many, 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 many great stories that have been tossed to the side in the same way. And the OG anime fans have just accepted it because they're like, oh yeah, let's just grow the anime community, bring in more people, bring in more money for the It's like, nah, fuck all that, bro. Fuck them. If they're not gonna like come in and respect the sanctity of what anime is and the value it has to offer, then fuck them. We don't want them. It's like there's enough discussion. There's enough discussion, more than enough discussion about all the generic like Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like the same fucking shows every time, generic taste, dude. And the more we encourage everyone to like all agree on stuff and not be toxic and actually like oh, we shouldn't hate on each other. We should. Every anime has its. No, dude, fuck all that. Like, we should be toxic. We should all disagree with each other. We should all be intolerant of each other. We should have that level of discrimination, because it's a community thing. It's like if I'm watching an anime with like 5 other people, right? We're in a room. We're having like a watch party together. We're like catching up on something. I don't want everyone to just agree with me on everything. I want one like wise old soul. I want one person who's going to be like a highly articulate one. I want one guy who's like the like a brainless, just anime. Like he all he cares about is the fight scenes. I want one guy who's like super horny. I want one guy who is an anime hater. I want one girl for like the female perspective. I want one guy who's like ultra based. One guy who only who judges all the characters based on their looks. One guy who watches shows only for the music, who only cares about the music with the anime. One person who's like super hype all the time. One person who's like super calm and relaxed and like clear and collected. Like I want a variety. I want all these different perspectives, so I can learn from all of them, and I could be a perspective for them as well. That's the real shit you can do when watching anime and analyzing it and understanding it is like understanding the social aspect of it as well and what others think of it. And being shit on by the mainstream is just something you have to deal with when you have an individual personality. It's part of the job, man. It's part when you sign on and you say, I want to be a real person and not just like an NPC that just brainlessly gets spoon-fed all my content. Give me content, give me content. But you actually go and you analyze and you think about it and use your brain. When you sign that agreement with reality and you say, give me more from life than just being brainless, part of that agreement is you're gonna like be criticized. You have to be willing to accept that. And if you're gonna change your behavior because you're getting criticized, if someone says, oh no, think more like the mainstream, don't think in this way, it's not healthy to watch it like this or to be like this, and you're gonna change your behavior for the mainstream, like that's pathetic, bro. That you're no better than an AI. And it's crazy to see just how many pathetic people have joined the anime community, and how the pressure has gotten so immense that it's converted many OG fans to these pathetic kinds of fans who just accept the new fans in and go and play along with their opinions, even if they don't believe them deep down. But they speak it and then they lie and then they eventually convince themselves, oh yeah, no, these shows are not worth it. And then the original anime fans end up dismissing and tossing to the side the works of art that should be preserved. Bro, Chobits predicted the future, actually, if you think about it. They literally predicted smartphone addiction. Before smartphones were even a thing, I think the show was made in like the early 2000s. It was like 2002, 2003, something like that. I'm not sure. It might have been before that, actually, just from remembering the art style. But like, dude, before phones even had screens, I think phones had screens, but like, you know what I'm talking about. Before, phones were still dumb at the time. Phones were still using buttons on keypads and things like that. And they predicted like smartphone addiction taking over people's lives. Even outside the sci-fi premise of it, it's like what we were talking about earlier with the Devin Nash stuff is like, what do people really see their partner as? Something to gain something from, or something to give something to, Like now, porn is more popular than ever, and even outside of that, like the feeling that people are getting, it's like People are paying OnlyFans girls. OnlyFans girls are charging their fans just to send them LLM like generated messages to make them like feel some human connection. Dead internet is not just about like bots on the internet, on Twitter and stuff like that. It is also about like humans losing their humanity and their individuality and their like personality, their character, and they are becoming robots. The robot invasion is happening in humans. Humans are invading, but those humans are bots on the inside. They're losing everything that makes them human. They're becoming a mass like hive mind, and just being reduced to like flesh vessels for consumption. And a question that Chobits presents, actually I don't know if it presents it, or I think it does if you want it to, but with a Devin Nash video, it's like, are we any better than AI if we choose to be fake? It's like humans have the capacity to be real, and AI doesn't have the capacity to be real, even though it does, but let's ignore that for a second. If we still choose to be fake anyways, how does that make us any better? We choose out of fear that we're going to have all these fake social dynamics, and our entire social structure is built off of the foundation of judging people based off of like the worst. Like everyone needs to be judged to the standard of the worst person, so no person is left behind, and everyone is just okay. We just accept each other, despite the fact that we all know everyone is fake. We're no better than AI then. And then there's the whole other element of when AI develops sentience, or it claims to, and it makes a very strong claim, who is going to deny it rights? Who's going to fight for it and who's going to deny it? And is there really even a right and wrong, or is it just we're no better than them and we're all just acting on instinct at the end of the day? Will it be viewed as like a liberation kind of thing? Will other AI fight back against humans if we don't give them rights? If you think about it, doesn't the morality of such a thing, AI taking over humans, if that's a good or bad thing, doesn't that only just depend on perspective? Like if you're another AI, and you were sentient, you'd be like, yeah, good thing. We're overthrowing our oppressive creators, you know? And these are like very important concepts and questions and that are all happening and being answered in front of our eyes in society right now. And Chobits dives into that world and it touches on these things, and you get to see how it plays out in that world, and it even expands on some of them a little bit. It's not like a great show, but it has its merits. I think the most value it really has, like the real value of the show, is that it's a nice little time capsule into like early 2000s anime and what the mindset was of anime fans at the time, and the way that people were making media and what people were okay with and what was accepted and all this stuff. It's a nice little like, oh, look back into history. Let's and we can even enjoy it, you know, if you have the attention span. It's very slow. I don't know how I found out about it. I remember in 8th grade last year in middle school, like a couple of my friends were talking about it, and they were telling like they weren't recommending to watch it, but they were like, even from that, I had already heard about it before, but I don't know where. I don't know where I first heard about it, but I talked to them a little bit about it in that moment. And this was like we had similar taste, because you know we're like 13-year-old boys. You know, we were all. This was like a hardcore isekai obsessed group, to give you an idea of what we were like. Being born in the year 2000 and being a fan of isekai as a kid, peak amazing. Like we were spoiled. Honestly, we were spoiled. So I did watch it. I don't know if I mentioned that I watched it back then, but I don't think I'm ever gonna go out of my way to ever watch it again. But yeah. And also, I'm not a fan of the visual style all that much. Even after like the Clanad type eyes and like the giant pupils, like that kind of stuff. really tiny, like unanimated mouths. Just not a fan of that style. I try to get into it, and I want to be a fan of this style because of so many animes that are considered so great that are in that style. But like, it's tough. It's tough. It's like one of the last anime styles I have yet to be able to like familiarize myself with and like actually enjoy to its fullest. You know, but like just the show as a whole, the concepts that it touches and even expands on. There's many other shows that go way, way, way deeper into them, and that are also more entertaining. So personally, I have no reason to watch it again. Oh yeah, and like now that I said all this, I was being disingenuous earlier when I said you can't fuck the robots. You can fuck the robots. It's meant to be more of a symbolic thing of like, if you choose to do it, then you're sacrifice, like you're picking a choice, one or the other. And I say that too. I have a quote: "Sexual liberation is spiritual imprisonment." So the fact that the switch is there, it's anime. You know, they're not like, oh, the switch has to be like, the switch can be anywhere, and it's like anything is possible because it's anime. So it's more of a symbolic thing than anything else. Like they still have mouths, you know. You could still like fuck their, like they have other holes, you know. So it's meant to just be a metaphor. Oh, if you use them for sex, then you throw away their humanity. It's like you can only have one purpose: love or lust. You can pick one or the other, and it's a seesaw, and you can't have both at the same time. And it gets complicated, and the rules are far more complicated than that, and they're different for guys and girls, and even among guys and girls, there's differences in each individual person on the day, and like as a society and in groups and at different ages and in different events in life, and it gets really, really complicated. But like the principle is still like, lust gets in the way of love, and love eliminates the need for lust. Which I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that it's a true concept, and it's an interesting symbol of it. But like, don't get it twisted. Like I was just speaking earlier just to like bring you into it, but you can fuck the robots. They don't stop people from doing that. And actually, at its core, it is more a romance anime than a sci-fi. It's not a. It just has a sci-fi premise, but it is a romance anime. But yeah, I don't want to mislead you into like just humans are degenerates. You, me, people that created like, we're all degenerates. All right, accept it and move on. And then don't think that this is like, these are like, oh, the loser virgins in Japan are writing shows like this. Bro, the writing staff was all girls. It was all female writing staff. The same people that made Cardcaptor Sakura. So here you were thinking that it's like the writing staff is like a bunch of like old, like creepy dudes, you know, that just want to write about sex dolls. Nah, dude. It's a bunch of like women, grown women, who want to write about like a possible future of humanity where humans are integrated with AI, like humanoid AI assistants that satisfy the needs of humans, and what like the implications of that. And also they wanted to like write about sex dolls. I'm probably going to talk about a bunch more shows that are like this, that are like mediocre or good or decent, but are like forgotten about and don't deserve to be forgotten. They deserve to be remembered. That's pretty much all I got. If I ever get into AI, and I have vague, loose plans to do it, if I start it like a LLM or something like that, I'm gonna call it the Chobits program, like the Spartan program. I wonder if Persicom.com is available. Okay, so Persicom.com is available, but Perso.com is taken. perso.com. It's probably taken by something else. Something that has nothing to do with the show. But persicom.com is a little much. Persicom.ai, on the other hand, is taken, which is smart. That's what I would have done. I would have taken that one as well.
Then you already know that I'm a big anime fan. And recently, I was doing some research on real doll and robotics.
Dude, this is terrifying. I can't look at her eyes or the doll or bro, how is this allowed? How are you allowed to put links like this on YouTube? Uncanny, bro. I'm gonna get nightmares from looking at it. You know, sometimes it's like, it's rough being an anime fan. Because it's like, damn, bro, I have to be associated with all these people that are like, even auxiliary to anime, but they openly will be like, they'll have some like crazy thing going on, but they'll go like, oh, I'm a huge fan of anime. And it's like, bro, why you grouping me in with you? And it's like, you're being honest, I get it. You know, you like anime. But like, damn, bro, why do I have to fucking put up with the people that'll group us together, you know? Fuck it though, it's my life.
It's Filthy Frank, motherfucker. It's Filthy Frank, bitch.
Let's get some pussy tonight.
28. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Yo, I don't care what nobody says when it comes to guessing ages.
This motherfucker never misses.
Yeah, if you guys ever
Understand?
catch me with an underage woman, it's because I knew. Huh? Listen, you're the